The greatest power you possess is your ability to choose. Join Lowe's Moore as he reveals how you can begin to maximize that power by exploring yourself on the deepest levels and committing to making lasting and positive changes. Get ready to achieve breakthroughs that will lead to accelerated growth and transformation because you are now tuned in to The Blueprint.
Why they actions contradict the lamb. I'm fellowshipping when I'm with the fam. That's more relations, that's foreign and foreign.
Good morning and welcome back to the Blueprint Podcast. I'm your host, Lowe's Moore, and I am excited. I'm excited about two things, right? The second thing that I'm excited about is more important than the first thing, but the first thing is important too. Can I say this? Or can I get you guys to say this with me? Go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. Go New York, go New York, go. New York Knicks, yeah, woo! Man, you know it's been 52 years since the New York Knicks had won an NBA championship. I think it was back in, it was a while ago with when Patrick Ewing and John Stocks and all of Charlie Ward and all those guys. I think in an abbreviated season was in the finals versus the San Antonio Spurs, which ended up winning the championship. So that's the last time we've been close, right? But it's been a little while since we've been to the Eastern Conference Championship. And I'm not going to get ahead of myself, but we need a win today. And I believe we could do it. A lot of people look around and yeah, Boston's a great team. And they've always been a great team. And last year they won the championship. It just goes to show you how hard it is to get a back-to-back championship. And then the thing is, the Knicks actually got better. Better defensively, better offensively, and you know they got some players in them that have fight. And last year, in order for Boston to go through their trials and tribulations to actually win the championship, right, finally broke through. I think I'm not gonna make a prediction here, but this is an opportunity for the New York Knicks because they can actually beat anybody, and actually every team that's left, right, has the ability to win a championship. I mean, the Golden State Warriors are struggling a little bit right now. They are making adjustments, because you got Steph Curry out. You pulling out the possibility of 20 or 30 points a game, and on a given day, 40 or 50 points a game. You pull that out, right? The whole team has to make adjustments. And look, let me say this to all the other players, that are not, there, and Steph Curry's not there. Man up. They paying you a whole lot of money. Man, make that money. That's why you get paid. Now it's time to show what you can do. You're not gonna be Steph Curry, just be you. I mean, Jalen Brunson has just been amazing. Y'all keep helping him through 3 quarters, and then pass the ball to him in the 4th quarter, and then we'll see what goes on. But we at the Garden, we at the Mecca, right? It's gonna be on fire, right? But it's Mother's Day weekend. It's Mother's Day weekend, and I want to say Happy Mother's Day to my mom, to my wife. Happy Mother's Day weekend. Every day is Mother's Day. I mean, because if it wasn't for our mothers, none of us would be here. So I want to say happy Mother's Day. There goes my mom and my aunts. I want happy Mother's Day to Aunt Joyce and Aunt Dolores. Just happy Mother's Day. There's my mom. Happy Mother's Day. Right? There's me over there. If you already know who that was on the left-hand side. Yeah, that's me. Little me. So again, let's get rolling here, right? Let's get rolling, and I want to start with the book of the week.
Is it that one?
Yeah, that's the book of the week. So what? My wife wrote this book. It's an amazing book. Patrice Wallace Moore. Man, you can get it on all the markets. Man, you can get this book. It's a powerful, a testimony of power of faith, right? And that's my book of the week. And you guys,
Oh,
it should.
that's so sweet. It's right here. Aw.
Oh yeah, it's right there. Yeah, that's the book of the week, man. Get that. And I was thinking about reading it, but I think I lived it. I lived through it, and so I had the live version of it, of that book, and it's an amazing story. So make sure you go out and
Oh, so was
get
I
it.
supposed to just live through your book? I had to read that book.
I read the book.
Oh,
You remember you gave me the manuscript before you printed it.
okay.
Okay. All right, and this is the word of the week when I think of moms, right? You kind of bypass all the disciplines, structures, learning things, and you break through to affection, right? When I think about moms, I think about the affection, the love, the compassion, right? And so that's my word of the week. And yeah, I just there's been some time my mom had to show me some affection. And I needed it too. I tell you that.
Your mom still
yeah.
shows you affection. I don't know what you're talking
She still shows me affection, but one of the things is, I think that there's some affection in me. Every now and then after I get past certain fleshly things, but I can show some affection, but yeah, moms are the best at it. When they thought of that word, they thought of moms, powerful, man. Yeah. And so let's what's my affirmation? Yeah, the Hill Harper Pierce Harper affirmation quote moment. Here's 8 positive affirmation for Black women. I am enough. You are enough on a good day, a bad day, and every day. I like that one.
That's good.
My voice matters. You are heard, and I am what my children need. I am beautiful. I am worthy and deserving. I can move at my own pace. I will celebrate myself. I am fierce and unstoppable. Happy Mother's Day. Whew. I ain't gonna get emotional up here, but and then here's my my music and movie, right? Boys II Men had a song called Mama. You remember the song?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mama, you know I love you.
Yeah, Mama, you know I love you. Yeah,
Mama.
that's the. I was listening to it the other day, man. Yeah, Mama, I love you.
You always said, I always love my mom.
Always love my mom. Yeah, that's a good one too. If you know any other mother song, pop it up. And
You know it's funny. It's funny. If you think about mother songs, right? Mama, I always love you. I always love my mama. And then they want to come up with Papa was a Rolling Stone. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, all the black songs. Mama, I love you.
Papa was a Rolling Stone.
Like 13 minute before they actually got to the thing. You think it's gonna be a good song, and next thing you know, it says, "Papa was a rolling." What? Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Wherever he left, child was his home.
That's a nice lead into this.
What? Yeah. Don't forget, our son Lowe's the third is in the national Broadway tour Ain't Too Proud, The Life and Times of the Temptation. He's in St. Louis, Missouri. So if you listening from Missouri, you know somebody from Missouri, look at the schedule or go to Ain't Too Proud website and put in tour schedule, right? And it gives you all the details about the show and upcoming shows.
Right. So he'll be in Kalamazoo, Michigan. This week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Every show is at 7:30. And then he's going from there to South Bend, Indiana, Friday, the 16th at 7:30, Saturday at the 17th at 2 o'clock, the 17th at 7:30, and the 18th at 2 p.m. And trust me, he will come somewhere near you soon.
That's right.
You know what? I just wanted to do this.
Oh, don't forget the movie of the week was Soul Food.
Soul Food.
Yeah, that was the movie of the week. Soul Food, man. There was so many dynamics and mothers in there. It started with mom and cooking and all that kind of stuff. Don't forget the movie of the week, Soul Food. Right? So many dynamics, family things going on. Just awesome.
Can I go back and just from last week? Usually we do the birthdays the week after, but we talked about your birthday last week. But I just want to talk about your birthday again because your birthday was on Monday. Lowe's birthday was on Monday, you guys. And so look at all those pictures of him when he was, through his journey. He liked the Benjamin Button because he got younger as he got older in his pictures. So happy birthday to you on Monday. And then we had a lot of birthdays during the week. I didn't put pictures up, but Pam Robustello was on Friday. Joanne and Kim. Joanne Elliott was on Thursday, and Kim Crawford was on Thursday. So there was a lot of
Ron
birthdays.
Nimhart.
Ron Nimhart's
this
birthday.
week. Yeah, I talked to him yesterday.
And today is our other baby's birthday. Look at that big baby right there. That is
Chris, what's up?
Chris he lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. He is an up and coming football player and basketball player. I think he's probably about 6'3" now. I remember whenever I used to come to Charlotte and your cousin Tracy and Jahmir and they would come and we would come see Jahmir play basketball and we would go see Chris play basketball, right? And Chris used to be shorter than me. And I remember one day taking a picture with him and saying, "This is the last time I'm going to be taller than you." And now when he comes to see me, he just rests his hand on top of my head, on my shoulder, and he's covering the door. He is 15 years old today. He's about 6'2", 6'3". He's already been offered a football scholarship by Howard University.
Oh, nice.
Already, his first full offer. So, yeah, that's our baby. That's my. He when I go to their house, he always tells people that's Aunt Teresa's room. I got my own room. So I told him when he gets to be a famous football player that he always has to make sure there's an Aunt Teresa room ready for him. So that's my baby.
All right.
So that's the birthdays.
Yeah, and then I usually have my person of the week. I'm going to have persons, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I can. I want to show this video first.
Okay.
Right? I think it's a mother's video. I want to show that real quick.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, happy Mother's Day. Woo! And if we can go through this series
Okay.
down at the, if you go down a little bit lower, let's start out right. We got a bunch of
Okay. So
mothers.
that's your mom
Back to my mom
and your aunties.
and my aunts. Happy Mother's Day. Enjoy it. Happy Heavenly Mother's Day to me, Mom. And I mean, Trees, you got your aunts there.
Aunt Joan and
Aunt
Auntie
Joan
Lane.
and Auntie
Auntie
Lane.
is in heaven.
Yeah, happy Heavenly Mother's Day, Aunt Joan. Michelle.
Happy birthday to Michelle. I mean, happy Mother's Day to
Happy
Michelle.
Mother's Day to
I
Michelle.
think she just had a birthday too for some reason.
She did?
I thought so, but maybe, yeah.
And then to you, man, look at that.
Look at my boys.
Oh, happy Mother's Day.
That's my boys.
All the boys,
Yeah.
right? Sometimes you don't know. Look at this. Look at all them.
Yeah.
Oh, happy Mother's Day, babe.
I think I got all of them in there.
Yeah,
including Omar.
all of them.
Yeah.
Omar.
Yeah,
Woo.
that's cool.
Happy Mother's Day to my heavenly Mother's Day to my older sister Evelina, and to Titi. Happy Mother's Day. Yeah, to my sister Tracy. Happy Mother's Day. Ooh, Angie. Happy Mother's Day. Ooh, you can just keep going.
And Shannon.
Shannon.
Happy Mother's Day. No, not yet.
Not yet.
Sorry.
Working on it. Happy Mother's Day, Carla. Yeah. Gwen and her mom. Happy Mother's Day. Dee Dee and Robin. Happy Mother's Day. Judy. Happy Mother's Day. Tracy and Kathy. Happy Mother's Day. Ooh, look at all of them. All of them. There's some mothers up in there.
Yeah.
They were young then, though, but there's some mothers up in there.
Oh, yeah.
Happy Mother's Day. All my nieces. Happy Mother's Day to all you guys. Wow.
And we forgot our daughters, right? You forgot our daughters?
Did I forget our daughters?
Except they're in here now. But
Yeah,
happy
they're all in there.
Yeah, there's our three daughters, Sherelle
Happy Mother's Day, Michelle and Sherelle.
and Joy.
And Joy.
And Krita. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Oh, man.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I can leave everybody. And then, right in the midst of that, I'm not going to show a video right now, but I just want to bring in Jahmir Hamilton, my cousin Jahmir.
Happy Mother's Day, Cheryl. Yeah, Cheryl and Annette. Happy Mother's Day. So you're gonna bring in Jahmir?
Yeah, bring in Jahmir.
Okay.
Yeah, because this is a mother's moment. Before he update us on the amazing work he's doing.
Okay, well,
Let's
he's
bring
got to
him in.
show his picture first. There he is.
Jamil, good morning. Welcome
Morning,
back
good
to the
morning.
Blueprint Podcast, man. And you in one of my favorite places. Tell them where you are, man.
Yeah, I'm at Charlotte, North Carolina, and my mom. Oh, Charlotte, North Carolina, for my mom's, and yeah, I love being here too.
Yeah, so talk to me about mom.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, my mom has been probably the most consistent person. Like when I think about my mom, I think about consistency and love, nurturing, all of the regular things that all moms have to do, right? But then now being a parent and watching my fiance become a mom and watching my mom become a grandmother, there's so much more to it that I give her so much credit for and so much honor because I see how hard it is. And yeah, my mom is amazing. Seeing all the things that she sacrificed for all three of us, me, my sister, and my brother. And then seeing how she still prevails and pushes forward into her purpose in life is probably the most powerful thing that a child can see as they grow up. That persistence and that grit to continue going, but to still stay, to still be, passionate and affectionate through it all. I think like life can take away a lot of your affection, a lot of your passion for life, And to see mothers in general get up every day and throw that passion and affection on, just as they do their clothes, despite having every reason to probably not, it's empowering and it's motivating. So, yeah, my mom is the embodiment of that for sure.
Yeah, and you got your grandma there too.
Yeah, my grandma, she's probably watching now. She knows
She is.
everything. She knows where everybody is. She is she is just an amazing, strong woman. Um, she takes care of everybody. Everybody.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So talk about you know, well, you being a dad, but your fiance being a mom, and what that experience is for you.
Yeah, I and like I said, the father and the mother experience is completely
He's
different.
adorable.
Um, and it's like there's a lot of things that I saw that in that video you just played that it's the hardest and most rewarding job, right? And at first, as I'm, you know, while she was pregnant, as I'm, working and putting things together so that we can have X, Y, and Z and X, Y, and Z, I'm thinking that I'm doing such a hard job. And then I look and I'm like, she's literally working like the work of a night of like more work than a construction worker all day, every day. And she can't complain about it, right? And for me, that gives me different perspective, right? Because although I can't stop being a father, I can get off of my job.
Mm,
Her job is 100% throughout, however, and seeing her sacrifice things, unintentionally sacrifice things. Like I said, it's just something that I make sacrifices, but I'll never understand fully a lot of the things that she has to go through and do. Um, because it's just a completely different experience. And so I give kudos to all moms, especially her through because we have a 1 year old just turned 18 months last week. Um, it's hard. From what I've seen, it's hard. And I know if it's hard for me, it's definitely hard for her. So yeah, yeah, it's a lot.
yeah,
And so I give
yeah,
her I give her that credit. And then to still be supportive and still there for me through everything too. It's like taking care of so many things at once and then still trying to find time for yourself. It's just, it makes me want to be there to take some of those things that I can't take off of her plate off her plate. Um,
right.
but yeah, all like the ultimate appreciation and gratitude for her.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just trying to find balance,
Yeah, yeah, of
you
course.
know. But it's something unique about moms, and I think God has created them to be innate multitaskers,
Yeah,
right? I mean, we have to work at being to do multitask,
mhm,
and we have to work at it. We say, okay, we have to plan it. That's because that's how we think. We think singularly. I
yeah,
got to get this job done, and in order for me to do other things, I got to plan it, think it. Right? It's
mhm,
something that God gave them this gift to multitask.
yeah,
Right? And I'm not saying that the multitasking is easy. Right? Because when I think about my mom, raising four kids, raising four kids as a single parent. And then when you look at all she went through in her experience, and then you look at because of her sacrifice, the things that you just finished talking about, right? You
right,
look at the product.
yep,
You know what I'm saying? You're looking at the product between myself, my two brothers, and my sister.
right,
So you seeing the product of the sacrifice and love and affection that our moms give us.
yeah. And I saw something the other day, like back to your point about how we think differently. Somebody said like, men. think in like compartments. Like we think like waffles, and it's like all these different like squares that like have to be aligned with each other. And they said women like they're so much more intricate and detailed that he compared it more to like without the messy part to more to like spaghetti. Like there's so many different things that have to like be involved in each other to and it's just a bunch of different stuff coming together to like you said to multitask and still be good at the same time. And so like yeah, it's a waffle is so simple. um, you just like throw it in the toaster, it comes out, and you eat it, right? But
Yeah.
it's not the same thing for me.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I was trying to no, let's move on, man. It's moms. Every day is moms. And see on Dolores on there. Yeah,
His,
happy Mother's Day.
his grandmother's on there. His
Oh,
auntie is on there. His
nice.
uncles are on there. Look at
Happy
that.
Mother's Day to
And
everybody, and
all
welcome to the
guys.
Blueprint this morning, right? And for all the men, right? Hope you're doing your Mother's Day duties. I hope you got some plans, you know, for your mother on Mother's Day, So awesome. But as we transition into
Oh, well, there's a couple of other pictures here. Remember
oh
that? Some of the reunion.
yeah, we go way back, man. That's the reunion.
Oh wait, look at that.
Oh man, who's that guy?
They are so cute. Joshua. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember last time we were on the show with you. We were showing some of these pictures too, as well. And that's the last time Jahmir was on there. He was like we like a freshman,
Yeah.
Yeah,
and now you.
He was like the president, right? The student president or something like that as a freshman.
yeah. I was doing the Association of Student Governments, so it was like
See?
all the yeah.
See, we remember.
So now we get to kind of talk about the updates. I'm gonna show this little video. I think I got a video up there, Treese.
Yes, I will kick it out. Let's see. I'm running through all of these pictures, these 100 million pictures you threw up there. You want the first one? Yes.
So last time we you were on, and you were just kind of getting started,
Yeah.
right? And so well, let's go back. There was a reunion picture. We had a reunion in Plymouth, North Carolina last year, and our relationship started at a reunion in Plymouth, North Carolina, where we met each other, and you were an aspiring basketball player. You want you want to play basketball. You were, I guess you was in the gym. We were in the gym. We met each other. We started talking, and we established this relationship, man, that has continued until now, right? And so talk about like graduating. Like you're in high school. That experience. I'm kind of going through that experience of you're in high school. You want to play basketball, and you're going through that process. And so take me through what your goals were at that particular time, and how you shifted, right, going from high school to college.
Yeah, so um it was seasonal for me. It was either I was gonna be an NFL player or I was gonna be an NBA player. Like it was seasonal, and I think eventually moving into high school, it just ended up becoming football. So I started playing football more, and specifically because I didn't make the basketball team. Like I just wasn't like at the time, just wasn't like that great at basketball. honestly.
But you loved it.
But I loved it. I enjoyed basketball. I love football a lot more than I did basketball. But I think just over time, I started off my high school career um, pretty poor grades. Pretty like my main focus was always just anything outside of school, which paid off in a sense. Um, but the transition from playing sports to not playing sports honestly happened when we moved from Illinois back to Charlotte, and the difference was I was when I was in Illinois, I was at a predominantly white high school. I think in the majority of my classes, if I wasn't the only black person in my class, I was probably maybe like number two or number three out of classes sizes of maybe 15, 20 people. My football team, it was different. My football team was majority black, right? Basketball team was majority black. All the sports team, majority black, right? And I didn't even know we had that many black people at my school. And so like, and so moving back to Charlotte, my school was the complete opposite, right? I went to West Charlotte High School my junior and senior year, and the demographic was a complete shift, right? There's times where I think I would maybe see one student that was white in the entire year, and the rest of us were people like just people of color in general. Um, and seeing the difference, especially with the location, where Charlotte High School is in the middle of, I mean, you guys know where Charlotte is. It's right there. It's in the hood. And seeing the difference in the opportunities that a lot of people had at the school that I went to in Illinois versus the opportunities that a lot of these kids didn't have at West Charlotte, because of what their family lifestyle looked like, because of what their families might have had and different things that they couldn't do. They couldn't do certain things in school because they had to take care of things that I didn't have to take care of. And I think seeing that and having that experience gave me a new perspective. And I realized there's a lot of different things that I could do with my time that can be centered around being grateful that I didn't have to go through a lot of the other things that those kids, my peers, did. And through that experience, I was able to um, bring some of those kids along with me, right? Show like if I could show other people, I don't have to be because I was playing baseball at the time too, right? Like I don't have to be a
Just trying to do it
sports.
all.
Yeah, I don't have to. I
You
don't
like
have
one
to
of them
be.
kids. You like one of them kids. When I asked them, I said, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" I want to play basketball. What you can't do? What if you can't do that? I want to play football. What if you can't do that? I want to play baseball.
Yeah, yeah. But that was the only. That's the only thing that it's not the only thing that you see, but it's the only thing that is made out to be somewhat successful to you. Um, and that goes into the conversation we're gonna have about like career choices, right? But I think from the broader spectrum of things, I just really made a decision that like one, my grades needed to be better. Or I couldn't play sports in general. Um, but I made a decision that I had a lot more. I had a head start that a lot of my peers didn't have, and I wanted to be appreciative of that. And a part of that for me was exploring my options. So I think from there, that's when I started. That's when I started finding other things like mural art. I've always been an artist since I was really little, drawing and like painting and stuff like that. So I explored mural art. Picked up guitar, boxing. That was still a sport, but something that I really enjoy, and I'm still doing 6 years later. Um, and then I stumbled around and found Roblox again, which is something I was playing since I was like 9 years old. And I realized that I could learn how to hack the games that I was playing and enjoying, and I could make my characters like a lot better than everybody else's. And then
That
when I
sounds
s-
like Chris Kelly. That sounds like Chris Kelly all the way.
Yeah.
once I started doing that though, um, a lot of a lot of opportunity came to me where I realized I would pay for this. Like if I could pay somebody to, like I didn't have any money, but if I could pay somebody to build my account in 30 minutes, and it's just a risk of if you get caught, your account gets banned. But if not, you have like the coolest account in every session you join. I'm like, shoot, I pay for that, right? Like, if I get banned, I'll just make another account, um, and I won't be too far off from where I am now. And so I realized that I could do that. I could sell that to people. And I think that was my first, outside of like a car washing business, me and my friend started in middle school. Like that was my first real business. And I was just hacking games and selling accounts and all those things. And that transitioned into trying to make games, and that transitioned into me starting, IX. So yeah, it's I think exploring your options and exploring all of the intricacies of your different options kind of leads you to go that route. Because I never thought I'd be developing games from as a lifestyle ever.
Right. So you end up going from he said he kept
Yeah,
me busy.
yeah. His mom. She said basketball wasn't it, but it kept me busy.
And so you graduate high school and you end up going on to college.
Yep.
And so while you're in high school you started the whole gaming, thinking about videos, so forth and so on. And so you get to college and you're thinking you're going to be what? I mean, what's going to be your major? When you get there, what were you thinking?
So I got to college. I didn't know what I was gonna do. Um, I think I was just going to college, and like I didn't apply for a whole lot of colleges either. Um, because, like I said, my last 2 years of high school were great. My first 2 years were horrible. So I just didn't even think, hey, maybe let me apply for these other schools. I applied for, I think, three or four schools. I think they were Fayetteville State, A&T, NC Central, Winston-Salem State, and then I think I applied to. I actually think those are only four. And so I got
Right.
accepted into everything but A&T. I accepted Central, and then A&T accepted me after I accepted Central. But from there, I think I was just going to college to figure out what I wanted to do, which is what you're supposed to go for. Um, and my dad was like, "Well, you need to either go to school for business or for IT." And I was like, "Well, I'll just do IT." And I think that was honestly the only reason I chose IT, because I didn't know what else to choose.
Wow.
Um, and I'm glad that I did. But from there, I was just taking my courses, and that was it, to be
That was
honest.
it. And
Yeah.
yeah, and then many people, because I want to make a point. I'm gonna put a pin in what you said about not doing well your first 2 years,
Hmm.
and then doing well your second 2 years. Because what people assume is that when colleges look at your transcript, they look at your last 2 years. And the reality of it, they look at your first 2 years.
Hmm.
Right? They look at how well you're doing in your freshman and sophomore year, right? And
Yep.
and that becomes very important, when you're talking about expanding your college opportunity,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, because they're looking at the full spectrum. What did I do in my first 2 years, and then what I did in my last 2 years. So that I want to put a pin in that because people can think that they can wait, right? No,
Hmm.
you got to start out good. So yeah,
Yep.
continue.
Yeah. Yeah. And but yeah, I'm glad that I ended up going to NC Central, though, because what I experienced at Central that I probably wouldn't have gotten at many other schools was, before I even got to Central, somebody had found me from this program called the Men's Achievement Center. It's called the
Hmm.
MAC. And they found my Instagram somehow. They found out I was going to Central because I didn't post any pictures or anything. Found my Instagram, reached out to me, and recruited me to join the MAC. And what the Mac was, it was like every year is a different cohort of just black men who they want to mold into leaders on the campus. And so from there in the Mac, um, I got I think I got like priority registration and stuff. Got put in a certain dorm room, and I met all of my friends that I'm still friends with now. And
Wow.
I think our friend group was like 30 people, and then, and then like we all break off and stuff like that. And it's our own groups, but the Mac was probably a pivotal point for me because I realized when I got to school, if I didn't have the Mac as that kind of home base to where I could always just go to if I didn't know where like what I was doing, um, I'd probably be a little bit more in my shell, and I probably would have like wasted a good amount of my time in my freshman year. And so from the Mac came SGA, from SGA came a plethora of other different things. But that's how I started my college career. I think I started it off pretty well. Um, but at the same time, like I said, everything was my focus but class. So class, I don't think class was ever um, my main focus for college.
Mm.
Um, and I guess the way that I thought about it was, if everybody gets good grades, like what separated me from anybody else? And I wanted to find a way to differentiate myself. And I thought that the best way to do that was through like joining organizations and stuff like that. Um, and then once I started my company, my sophomore year, I think second semester of my sophomore year, things really started to kick off because I started doing outreach to a lot of the different administrators in the School of Business, who then saw what I was doing, helped me kind of understand what it was I was actually doing, because I didn't understand at the time. For me, it's just I'm making a video game. And then they propelled me in front of so many different people that helped me accelerate. So ultimately, I'm glad that I did go to North Carolina Central. And I guess it speaks to like everything happens for a reason. Um, because I think it definitely was a contributor to a lot of my success. And then I also met my fiance, which is like probably the the best thing that came from that. But but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk. Can you speak to, because I don't know a lot of schools. I mean, Treese and I don't know that when you talk about you know majority white schools
Mhm,
versus historically black schools,
mhm,
and I think that just listen to what you just said, that and I've heard this before, how when you go to a historically black college, how you know people reach out to you and they try to put you into a place and make you feel welcome, and kind of you kind of experience the opportunity that somebody's there supporting you through this process.
mhm.
I mean, so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So for I'll say in if I was to go to a school like Chapel Hill, right?
Hmm.
They have their niche, programs that are centered around African Americans and African American men, women, etc. Um, but I think having the Mac reach out to me before I even got to school, it encouraged me to get into school and to get active very quickly, because I could already see potential in and I saw potential in myself, because I felt like I got recruited because people saw potential in me. And I think a big part of the Mac that made me feel that made me, I think it was about feeling like, I guess it was feeling special, right? Like, okay, I
Hmm.
can do this, they see this in me, and I don't want to let them down because they invited me to this thing I'm glad I'm a part of. I think that's like a huge part of it. But if I was to go to a school, like Chapel Hill, I feel like I would have been in my room for a majority of my first 2 years. Obviously, I had friends and everything like that, but I don't think I'd be as active And you see it at these schools. I think Chapel Hill, every year they have like a black student body president, but all of their organizations are primarily, white or different ethnicities. And at an HBCU, all you see is other, African American people running every different element of the school. And for me, that was empowering because there's so many different types of organizations, types of executive boards, types of boards in general, and I had access to all of those things because I didn't have to go through a lot of gatekeeping and a lot of people who didn't want to see me in that room because
Right.
everybody there was like me. And I didn't think at first that that was really important, but once you really look back at it, and me being, I used to be the senior vice president for the Association of Student Governments, which was all 17 UNC institutions as a student government. The difference in what I saw in the delegations that came to those the body, the General Assembly, all of the white, I mean, all of the predominantly white institutions, their delegations were majority white. All of the HBCUs, their delegations were majority black. And so that's the advocating body to the board of directors for the school. And if for me, I'm thinking if all of our schools in the UNC system were predominantly white, we would have no black faces in a space like this. And that's important. And that's why I think it's definitely important to give back to HBCUs as well. Um, Another thing, my school has been. I have my chancellor on a like I have we have each other's cell phone numbers.
Wow.
Um, and that's because once they see what you're able to do, or once they see potential in you, they're going to do whatever it takes to pull that out. Um, I think since we got our new chancellor, I mean, and even before then, I was introduced to the board of directors or the board of trustees for our university when I first started my company, right before we were even making any money at all. They saw that, and the chancellor introduced me to the board of trustees, the ex chancellor, and that's how I found my first investor. My first investor was a part of the board of trustees, and he poured probably like himself, nearly, multi six figures into my company, right? Before we were even proven to be anything profitable.
Wow.
My chancellor now bringing me to the board of governors for the UNC system, having me present what I'm doing in front of the president of the UNC system, or putting me on pitch competitions and different things. My dean, the dean of my school of business, Dean Anthony Nelson, and Catrice Boyd and Latricia Rushing, they them plugging me into so many different spaces to speak at and to get different opportunities as a young businessman and helping me become more of a businessman. Those are things that I wouldn't get anywhere else.
Yeah, and I think you made it so light. You just said, "Yeah, that's when I just started my company." I mean, I'm I'm thinking like you heard that, trees. I just started my company. I I mean, it's got to be a little bit more
So, so that
because
story,
you're in school, right? You're in school,
yeah.
and you're going. Okay, you say I'm just going to class, right?
Mhm.
And out of nowhere is I'm not saying out of nowhere. You probably thought of I'm starting the company,
Yeah.
right? So I mean when it just popped in your head. Oh, I gotta start a company.
So what happened? I worked for some other guys. So I think I had got a job at Target my the beginning of my sophomore year, and I think I like quit that job after like 2 3 weeks. Because I had started working for these two, like I think they were like 14. I don't know. I started working for them, and they had a game that was really big, and I was managing everything for them, right? and I realized that I had a skill for organizing and creating systems for mass projects. And then I looked at the financials for the game, and I was like, "You're 14 years old, and this game just made $80,000 this month." And I'm like, I didn't know that that type of money existed. And
Wow.
that's another thing, for us, like we glorify, and not to talk down on it because there's means of living, but we glorify and we make our end goal to have a six-figure job. And the truth is that that's nothing compared to the amount of money that we can really go out and make and create. And for me, once I saw that that amount of money was being made, you know
From some 14-year-olds.
for as a 14-year-old, and they barely had to do any of the work, I asked myself, why, what's different about them that I can't do? And I couldn't find anything. It was literally just the fact that they had made a game that they wanted to make together, and it got popular. And so they had a bunch of other things going on that I didn't like, and so I left. And we just decided, me and my friend Evan, who lives in the UK, I think. Um, I just asked him and a bunch of his friends. I'm like, I'll give you guys this percentage, revenue share in the game, if you guys help me build this game. And I think what you have to do when you don't have money and you want to start something, you have to be really, really good at convincing people that you know what you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
And at the time, I didn't know what I was talking about. And so trying to convince people that I knew so much about building a game and so much about how this was going to work when I didn't, and then them still, believing in the vision enough to do it for free and to help me build it for free. The game came out and it did really, really well. For my first game, I think it did around 10 to 15 million visits total. And the money that I made from that game, recirculated it back into acquiring other games. Because I was realizing that I didn't know what I was doing. And after so long, the game was with my leadership and where I was at the time, it was gonna die out within 2 3 months.
Right.
Um,
And
and
now,
there's
was that where we started at
Yep,
when
yep.
you were on the last? That's where we started at.
That's where we started. Yeah, that game
Yeah.
specifically. Um, and it was a lot that I remember talking about how we had got I had got my first acquisition offer, for somebody that wanted to buy our game for $50,000 at the time, and like I thought that was just crazy. And then we turned it down, and um, from that point forward, though, we just the objective was to, it wasn't just to build games, it was to kind of build this fortified dev network. Um, but then another, I forgot this whole piece. I didn't have a company when I first started the game. The game was just a game, and all the money was going to go to my personal like business account, I mean bank accounts and stuff like that. Um, but my fiance and my dad, they were like, and my mom too, they were like, no, you need to go start a company so that this money isn't going on, like you're not being taxed, for this money, blah 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 blah. And so that's when IX became a thing. And from that point, our objective wasn't just to build games, it was to build a fortified dev network that we could just build as many games as we wanted to, at any time. And so we would acquire games, and then we would invite their team to join our like little circus crew. um, and like I said, being really good at convincing people that I know what I'm talking about, whether I do or not. But then being honest enough to tell people like when I don't know what I'm doing too. Um, and over time, I think it just grew to now we have around, I want to say, 45 to 50 million monthly active users. We have around 250, almost 300 developers that have joined our team, our dev network. And then now I have like a crew of, my executive team that manages all of the stuff that I used to manage. So now I can, get really deep into the business element of the company. Um, And then now we're moving on to software, right? We're building the first platform that enables the everyday person to invest into these revenue generating machines easily, like as you would the stock market. And that's just kind of where we are now. So people believing in you enough to allow themselves or put themselves in a vulnerable position behind some 19, 20, 21 year old that
And
obviously doesn't know
how old are you
anything.
now? How old
I'm
are you now?
22. I'm 22.
22.
Yeah.
He's sounding like he's 32, 42 even. It's like, when they say in person, he said the baby is
No,
18 months going on 15, and he's
right.
21 going on 45.
Well, yeah, no, and he says it so easily, like, yeah, when I was in my second year, I started my company. It just came out your mouth so easy,
Well,
and honestly, honestly, do you think that that young people, should it's the kind of mindset they should have just growing up? Just this is the mindset you're having here at 22, right? And your
mhm,
thought process at 22, I think, right,
mhm.
that should be happening when from middle school to high school. That kind of mindset. The question is, what keeps us from this mindset? I mean, if a 14-year-old, right, if two 14-year-old kids can say, I want to build this game, I want to make this game, 14-year-olds, right? That's the kind of mindset I'm saying that young people should have. But what keeps young people from that mindset, in your opinion?
So for me, there's a couple of different things. Um, I feel like visibility is one of the main things, right? Like I mentioned earlier, we glorify and make our life's goal to have a six-figure job, work that for 45 years, and then retire, and then hopefully you don't have to work again, right? Like we make that like that's the goal. Like when I went to college, I spoke to so many people, and we're just in majors that are, I'm not gonna say a waste of time, but we're in majors doing these courses, and you're competing against so many other people. Not saying that we can't compete, but you're competing against so many other people for the hopes of getting a job that will only pay you enough to barely get by in this economy, right? Um, and so I think that that's one of the main things. We're taught very very early that like that's the highest that you can do. Like that's the pinnacle of what you can do if you're not a sports player, if you're not a rapper or a musician or an athlete that's making like millions of dollars on contracts. There's no possible way that you're going to make that amount of money. Um, and I think that's one of the main things. It's just conditioning, right? And then as a kid, you're like, well, I'm not going to go work a job. Like I know for me, it was like I'm not going to go work a job. I'm going to figure out what else I can do. But everything is entertainment based, and everything that we try to do is just based on what we see. And so I think all we saw was either I'm gonna do this job or I'm gonna become famous. And there's no in between for anybody. And so we get to college and we realize, oh, I'm not famous by now. All right, plan B. And that's just what people stick to. Um, and I think it's flawed because somebody had to make whatever opportunity you're going out for right now. And so like the idea is like what's stopping you from making a different opportunity?
Right.
Um, it's like between why try to become, your celebrity, like your celebrity idol, right? Instead of just becoming the idol that other people want to become. And it's like that mindset, right? Like I'm gonna make this instead of trying to just go some whatever I deem as the safest route. Um, And that, I think that's one of the main things for us. And then another thing for us specifically as a people, a majority of us are afraid of failing because we just want to be out of the position, or a lot of us just want to be out of the position that we saw our parents in, or we see other family members in. And I think that's hindering. And it's not. That's the thing. It's not a lot of people's fault. I think it's a mental thing that a lot of people will have to get through and have to get over as time passes. But anything that's better than what your parents did, or anything that's better than what your family was able to do, we see that as okay. That's like I did everything I was supposed to do. I'm successful now, and I'm done. And so that's not. I think we're trained to not have any ambition and any drive to do anything different, or any drive to do anything a little bit risky.
Yeah, and I remember, and Teresa, we remember this. We were doing together. We were doing the class, career day, right? So I asked the kid. I was like, "Hey, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And kids are kids are raising their hands, and so I'm selecting people. But it was one kid in the back. He's this guy's going ballistic, in the back. He's like, he wants me to call on him, right? But I'm ignoring him, right? So I'm not even calling on him, right? Like, oh, what do you want to be? What do you want to be? What do you want to be? And I'm not even calling. But he's still in the back. You got to call me. So I call him. I said, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up? He said, I want to work for GameStop. I look at Trees, right? So I said, hold on, time out. Don't you mean you want to own GameStop? Right? He was like,
Nope.
he's like, I want to work for. I said, yeah, but if you work for GameStop, you can't. When you get paid, you can't even buy the game you're selling. So it's like you said, it's a mindset,
Yeah.
right? It's a difference between what is it to be wealthy? What is how do I build wealth and how do I become wealthy? There's a difference between being rich and wealthy, right? So you can be rich, like I know a lot of players, NBA players or professional athletes or entertainers who, as long as they are working, right, they're rich, right? But the
Right.
moment you stop working, you're no longer rich,
Right. Right.
right? So what am I going to do to become wealthy? Because wealthy is while I'm sleeping,
Exactly.
I'm making money, right? And that's the kind of mindset that I think we've been conditioned to be dependent. Like you said earlier, we're going to work 45 years, retire, then we die,
Right.
right? And I mean, Dr. Miles Monroe talks about that all the time, you
Yeah.
know? Yeah. So, I mean, yeah. So how do we convince? Because I think that's what is the difference between what I always consider a poverty spirit, right? And a poverty mentality, right? That's what we find, because it's a poverty thinking, right? And how do we break this spirit of poverty, right? Because we can do so much more, but we need our young people. We need young people to get this.
Yeah. But another thing though is we're so. I think like media has trained people to be so hyper independent and hyper like individualized, to where we think that the that creating something requires you to do it by yourself. So like when like I said, when I started, like I said, I can't. A game requires programming, visual effects, 3D modeling, sound effects, art, all these different things, and I only knew how to do one of those things, right? And so trying to start a game company without help was not going to work for me. And I think like what a lot of us have to realize, we have like, and I think it comes from a lot of music, and then it comes from our like a lot of parents as well. You don't have to do everything by yourself, right? Like I think that's putting yourself in a hole, trying to do everything by yourself, and then once it doesn't work and you tried it by yourself, you don't want to do it again. Instead of, I don't think we're taught how to collaborate with people, and then we also don't have the mindset to collaborate fairly with people, right? I was watching a some video, and the guy mentioned that us as a people, we have like when it comes to business, we have like a drug dealer mentality, where it's like you if you spend money, you have to make twice the money that you spent. And sadly, in a collaborative space, you're gonna have to pay people part of that money. But as long as you make the dollar in profit, you're winning because you still own that asset, you still own that thing that you built, and you've made your money back and you've profited. And I think that's the mindset. That's an example of the mindset shift that we have to have. It doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be like I do everything by myself. I make all of my money back. I make it double, and I'm just gonna live this perfect life, right? Like you have to collaborate. You have to pay people fairly. You have to have partners. Like nothing works without multiple people being involved in it. And I think that goes for anything outside of business too. Like you can't raise a child successfully without multiple people being involved in that child's life.
I
You
agree with
you
that.
can't have a university without student of multiple students and faculty, and like it just doesn't make sense to try to be on your own all the time. And so I think we have this like falsified like idea of what being self-made is, and it contributes a lot to why people aren't able to achieve what they want to do. And then also on top of that, we're like everybody is just so antisocial, and so we don't know how to talk to people to even convey what our idea and what our goal is. And like I said, to even have partners in the first place, you have to be really good at convincing people you know what you're talking about. And I think that's another skill that we lack. So we don't know how to talk to people. We don't think that it's our responsibility to earn anybody's trust, despite us asking them for something. And then we don't. The bar is just set too low.
Right.
And so I think for kids, if you can show them young people who have, I guess, fostered all three of those different mentalities, and show people that it's possible, but then being real with them, that, like I didn't do this all by myself. Too many people take so much pride in saying I did this by myself, and that discourages a lot of people who know and have that like realistic mind state that like I can't do this by myself. And so I think we just have to start teaching people like those three things. It's probably more things. Like I don't know everything, right? But like
Right.
if I think if we teach people some of those things, and it starts with like humility a lot of times, we'd be able to achieve a lot more and see a lot more.
Right.
I told you that like for me, what it was seeing a 14-year-old make $80,000 in a month, right? And then as I grow throughout my career, now we're at that point. But now I see my peers making like 3, 6, 7, 8 million dollars a month, and I'm like, I had no idea that this money was out there. And these aren't people that are like older, like they're people that are like my age. They've just been in a little bit longer than I have. It's a difference between like 2 years and 6 years. Um, and that's just like literally the only difference in what we do.
Right.
And there's so many fields like that where that money is out there, but we don't know any better.
Yeah. And I'm
Right.
thinking the question is how do you if you're trying to break the spirit of poverty
Mhm.
and a poverty mindset, I guess how do you break the spirit of division, right? That we're divided.
Mhm.
And how do we bring in a spirit of unity? Because I have certain gifts, and for years, I mean literally for years, there's some things I've wanted to do, right? And my peers are doing things, right? And
Yeah.
we all have different giftings. And for years I've been saying like, hey, how do we come together and support each other so when you look around and maybe you can't do something, but I have the ability to do it,
Mhm.
right? So we're in a partnership, right? We're in a community partnership, whereas we are all like at the end of the day, we all get paid, we all being supported, but we're not an island. You know what I'm saying? And how do you break the spirit of division where we now can come together? Now we can come together and work together.
So for me, I think it's two things, And like I said before, like I don't have all the answers. Like I don't know how to solve
Well, you're
problems.
giving us pretty
But
much a lot of them right here today.
I hope so. But I think there's two things that what I like from what I've seen, and there's certain things that I've had to break myself. The first thing is whatever you're building, you have to actually be building it because you think it's useful, or because you would use it, or you know somebody who would use it, or you think you have a belief in it. I think a lot of people like start companies without knowing what they're building, right? And so like I mentioned before, we didn't start the company until after we had made a game. And that I think there's a different level of passion there for the actual product, because we had made a good game, and then we started a company out of necessity, and then the company became what it was or what it is now. And so that like I said, that speaks to it, to where people form businesses for the sake of forming a business sometimes, and that's why a majority of them fail. But then the other spectrum of that, when you have a partnership, and I would consider my business, even though I myself and my investors are the only people who actually own, equity in the company, people, like I said, I would view my company still as a partnership with 250 plus people involved, because without the developers, like I don't have a product, and I can't do everything myself. And so as much as the company grows, they grow with it. And that's just part of what a partnership is. They sign a contract to join the company. Like that's a partnership to me. And with that, everybody wants to be the boss. And I think that's like a hindrance, because everybody wants to be the top person in charge. And I think when you have a business, just for the sake of having a business, you have the wrong idea. You have the wrong motives. And that falls into the same place of everybody wanting to be the boss. So you have a lot of times when people form partnerships. I remember I had started, like, me and some of my friends had started this jazz band that we were like playing at our school. Right, this lasted like maybe like 2 months, but it failed because the person who was our drummer, he wanted to be the person, like the face. He wanted to be, I do all of this. This is my band. This is my X, Y, and Z. He was like making us pay him cuts of like our money we would get, and that's why it failed. Like it wasn't because the music wasn't good. It just failed because somebody wanted to be the top person in charge, and then everybody else wanted to be the top person in charge too. And so that's just like a horrible way to have a partnership. I think you all have to have a love for what you're trying to build, whether it's like a tangible product or not. You have to have a love for what you're trying to build, and you all have to take the roles out of what you're building and understand your, like, the name roles out of the conversation, and understand what your skills are, and understand that without either of those skills, the product doesn't come together.
Yeah.
And so like I'm CEO, sure, but I'm only CEO because like I started the company, right? Like, but I have I say it all the time, like I have bosses. I have bosses in my own company because they run areas that I don't run, because I know that I can't do that by myself. And so sometimes when they tell me, like, I got basically fussed out in my own company the other day. It's like, Jahmir, you have to stay out of this area, because when you come and try to like take over this area, we start losing money here. And like mo- when some people, they have so much pride in like their role that like they take that as like a threat. And I think you have to just like say like, okay, like you're right. Like you have to be able to have a boss when you're the boss. And I think that's what like allows a lot of things to grow. Just like that
Yeah.
space for things um to actually grow in the purpose of what you're trying to build.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah. So you turn around like, okay, well, the person could say, well, okay, cool, you come over here and do that. You'd be like, oh, well, hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah.
you know, I mean, everybody want to be the dog in the house. Not everybody could be a dog in the house,
Right.
right?
Right.
And but everybody want to be one. And you have to come to the realization. Like I used to play I play pickup all the time. Used to play pickup all the time, and everybody always thought they was the dog in the house,
Yeah.
right? And well, I already knew I was a dog in the house. So if you want to win a game, you need to give me the ball. I'm gonna figure out how to either put it in the basket or get you to put it in the basket,
Right.
right? But when it come down to the end of the game, like Jalen Brunson has been doing for the Knicks, right? Hey, you know who's the dog in the house when it comes down to the end of the game.
Right.
So I used to say, okay, you want to be a dog in the house? Go ahead, be a dog in the house. We'll be sitting on the side after this is over, but you know, everybody got to learn to play their role,
Yeah. Yeah. And
right?
that's
And
important
then,
though.
yeah, and then even in spite of how great Michael Jordan was, right? He couldn't win those 6 championships without his teammates, without his coaches, about the administration. I mean, you have to learn how to play how to play your role and play it well,
Right.
right? And everybody in that whatever that, my role as a scorer or Michael Jordan's role as a scorer, it don't make me better than, and more important than the other people that play because none
Right.
of us will be successful. Yeah, and I think that's what
Exactly.
you're kind of talking about. Yeah.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
does the IX stand for?
So it really didn't. So it really didn't stand for anything at first. It was when I like had first started playing like the games that I was playing on Roblox. I had a group of people that I played with, and we were all hackers, and it was called IX.
I love that word. We are all hackers.
No, we were just all like broke into games a lot of times, and we just called it. I started it and I called it IX, and like it was like five of us. And that I just reused the name because, like I said, we just needed a company so that my money didn't like I didn't get taxed, and so I was just like, okay, well, IX it is like that's what I know. So I guess I didn't feel like coming up with the super creative name, so I just used it already. Eventually, my investors were like, well, like that's not gonna do, so we got to figure out what this is gonna stand for. So now it stands for Infinite Experience, but um, originally it
Ah,
didn't mean anything.
So
okay,
we
I
got
like
some
that.
pictures. I mean, explain some of the pictures that you were just showing. Just go back to the very beginning where you see a picture of him.
Okay.
He's like in the little block.
Oh, up top.
No, yeah.
Oh,
It's a whole bunch of stuff with him. He's on the. It's like the start of a website.
Oh,
Yeah.
those.
So talk a little bit because when you go to your website, what is your website actually, where people can go?
Yeah, it's ixstudiodev.com.
IX Studio
And then dev, DEV.
Dev.com.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So explain, some of the things. Explain the company, like you're the CEO. Explain some of the company and some of the things in these pictures that we have up.
Yeah. So right there in the middle, that's the one I'm most proud of. We're the only company on Roblox that has, and that says over 170, but now it's over 250. But we're the only company on Roblox that has a group of developers that are all actively working on projects. And for us, we specifically target developers who have a lot of talent but don't have a lot of opportunity. And we bring them into our network, and we basically have a forum, and there are developers. We put out anything that we need, so we have instant access to development whenever we want to, which is something that a lot of people struggle to do because recruiting is hard. But we have so many people in every different element of developing, which, like I said, it speaks to the importance of having multiple people involved. That we can bring on, I think, three full teams, like a backup roster, a backup roster, and a starting team, like to any project that we want to do. And that's a huge value that we have at the company because one, not only does it allow us to have just development at the tip of our fingers whenever, but it allows developers to kind of form their own teams and their own chemistries and internally like this company culture that we've all built, right? And so we are trying to actively get people, because we haven't done this before. We have a lot of developers, but I think if we had opened our floodgates, we'd probably have upwards of 500. Um, but we are trying to, I guess, pull a lot more developers into what we have because we've seen it works. So that was that middle one. Um, and it's just honestly like just really large, cool group of developers who are all making things. But something else that we're doing is, and I think it's in that article, is we are turning our developers into game owners. And so we have a network of developers, and what we're doing is we're encouraging our developers, hey, like, and this is for us, it's a partnership for us too, right? Because this would disable us from having to pay a lot of upfront expenses, right? But we tell our developers, hey, if you guys come up with an idea for a game, you can pitch it to, our team that runs IX. And if it makes sense, you guys will do, your development jobs. If you're a programmer, you'll program the game. If you're a 3D modeler, you'll make 3D models. And then we'll pay for the remaining assets that you guys don't do, right? And so it'll be like a team of 3 or 4 people, and they'll come up with their ideas, pitch it to us, and we'll fund the rest of it. And that's kind of what we're starting to do, and that's why we want to bring in more developers into the company.
Yeah.
The other piece is the road marketplace. So we started building recently. Like I mentioned before, like there's peers that I have that are making $3 to $8 million a month, and that's not an anomaly on Roblox, believe it or not. We make we make we make a lot of money, and it's deemed on the lower end of what's possible on Roblox because we hit 2 years in February. Um,
2 years.
yeah, 2 years. Um, but we are bringing a platform where the average, everyday person can either crowdfund, contribute to crowdfunding, or just one-to-one invest into games that are actively searching investment or are selling parts of their revenue share. So we're essentially creating like a stock market for Roblox games that'll allow the everyday person to invest into revenue generating projects. Now, a lot of games on Roblox blow up, and your money could turn into, I don't know. I seen, one of my friends, Crollo, he invested $10,000 into a game he made, and that game is one of those ones I said that make upwards of $3 million a month. Or somebody like my pal Johnny, he's created a monopoly on Roblox of just different games, and I think, like for example, he invested like $20,000 at 40% of one game, and that game made, I think for months on end, made somewhere around $2 million a month, and he put in 20%. I mean 20,000 for 40% of that. So it's not an anomaly that those things happen, and I think if we allow the everyday person to experience some of that opportunity, we'd see enough return on investment for people to where we could not only grow the platform and what the platform can be, but we grow the value of digital asset ownership and digital IP ownership and digital revenue share.
Some of those, I had just set a picture up there when you talk about games. I think Treese was just showing. Yeah. So when you talk about games, what types of games are these? Some of them.
Yeah, so these are all games that we've owned or own revenue share in, that are on our portfolio, and these are games of just so many different genres. So what the cool thing about having about so many developers is, I think only 20 of us or maybe 40 of us live in the United States, and everyone else is spread across the world. And so we get kind of access to so many different cultures. So we can make a football game, we can make a soccer game, we can make anime games, we can make, whatever games we really want to, that are based on different cultures, because we have developers that understand those cultures pretty thoroughly. So we do literally every genre of game. We probably have a game in that genre already.
Wow. So as we come to a close, what's the future look like?
Like I said, like it's, and I don't think IX is my last thing. I don't think I don't think anything will ever be my last thing. But um, as we continue, I think we want to, obviously continue with games. We have a lot of cool projects that we're doing. We just actually finished up wrapping up. Um, a partner of ours is doing a Roblox game for a very large basketball league that I can't say by name.
Hmm.
And we just finished up a huge contract for that game. A very large baseball league is, we're making a game for them right now, that we own a huge revenue share in. And then we're honestly making our own games too. But I think for me, I've kind of separated myself from the game side of our company. And I'm really putting a lot of our focus into this, Roblox stock market idea, because I think that we can allow the everyday person to see some money, and to buy game ownership pretty easily. So that I think that's right now the current future, and just continuing to figure out where our branches can end up. But yeah, like just like I said, we're still accelerating pretty quickly, growing, and I guess professionally as well. Like we just onboarded our CFO. Shout out to James Lackland, and a bunch of other executives onto our team. So just like I said, growing the company and bringing in people who can help the company grow. That's just what we'll do for however long this lasts. Yeah,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Man, I'm gonna have to give you a call, talk some more details.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and yeah. So what you got planned for mom, and grandma? What
Well,
you doing?
two of them are here right now, so I'm not going to say it. But I'll talk to them. Yeah,
That was good.
yeah.
Oh man.
I want to ask, are any of the games, nowadays, children are young, right? Are there
Mhm.
any games for children?
Yeah, I mean, all of the games. So that's something that we and Roblox do very well. Any of the games are still appropriate for children. And then signing up for Roblox, there's certain games that you can't play unless you are a certain age. If you're, not, ID verified to be above 18, you can't play certain games. So we make games for everybody.
Because my grandson, as soon as he walks in, he said, "Can I have
Yeah.
your phone? Can I
Well,
have your
yeah,
phone?"
and games. How about games built around smaller kids? The parents could grab games around education and stuff like that, learning the ABCs and yeah, your thought about some of those things, and then also games that appeal to a faith-based community.
Yeah, I think the
That would be good.
opportunities are limitless for those types of games. I say it's something that we've explored it, and we're trying to find a place for them right now.
Yeah,
Um,
I get it because you got a certain market. That's where people are, and then you can
yeah,
expand.
but I think there's also a broader goal too, like to innovate the space, and so like our whole thing is doing things that don't exist already,
Hmm.
and that's something that those are two things that don't exist on Roblox yet. There is one game that I didn't know how I really felt about it. It was like a game called like the Story of Jesus, but I don't know how I really felt much about it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
So if I was to go on to my app, right, and I wanted to pick up one of the games that you do, what would I put in my app store?
So you're gonna have to get Roblox. That's the app.
Okay,
But
so I would get
on
Roblox.
Roblox, I would play. Let's see, you might have a fun time playing something like Stunt Simulator, or maybe Maybe any of the obstacle course games. Those would probably be fun.
Okay.
Yeah, Ray is over here talking about, man, did you help
Develop
the
Street Fighter.
No, I think they're a little beyond before my time.
Yeah. Ray going back. He's talking about
Like
his age
he
right
might have
now.
well said Pac-Man.
No, it's funny though. It's funny though. We actually had a conversation with Capcom in January because um, the traditional game space is dying out. So the games that you see on Xbox, PlayStation, any game that doesn't require you to play with thousands of other people, those games are actually dying out, right? So like the games like I don't think you'll ever see like a Mortal Kombat die out, right? Because it has so much hype around it. But the traditional game space is falling on its knees. So Capcom, who made Street Fighter, they're definitely looking actually into things like Roblox and Fortnite right now too. So that's interesting that you mentioned that though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate it, man. I'm gonna let you get to your Mother's Day's duties. Yeah, as I prepare for mine as well. But man, thanks. Let's stay in touch, man. Thanks a lot, man.
All right, I'm in.
She said she in.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to get in.
So I'm in. I'm gonna go in here and see what I can do. But
they live on the phone. They live on the games. Every time I turn around, she's playing. What are you doing?
I'm just gonna make sure that our grandson can kind of get in here. Now, are there certain ones in Roblox? Like once you get in Roblox, is any of them Roblox, or has to be the ones that are specific to what you do? How did I know the ones that you are connected to?
Well, a majority of our games that we own, it'll say owned by, and it'll say like Infinite. Like we put Infinite and then the game name after it, like in the.
So give me the name of the game again, so that I can look at it.
One of them is you should look at Stunt Simulator,
I think they're in alphabet.
Maybe something called Updog. But if you go to our website, you can actually, if you have Roblox downloaded on your phone, if you click the game, it'll take you to the Roblox app to that game.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm in Stunt Simulator now.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Listen,
we go.
I just want to check it out. You can't. I just want to say so that my grandson. Listen, I don't know what I'm doing when I get in these games, but my grandson, he'd be like this, moving his fingers up and down, moving it side to side, jumping over stuff. I'm like,
he 4,
what
right?
is happening?
He just picks it up and just start doing it.
Yeah.
So again, Jahmir, thanks a lot. I'm about to close out here. I want to say thank you for this joining us this morning, this Saturday morning. I call it a special podcast. Celebrating mothers for Mother's Day. Hope you guys, all the mothers, happy Mother's Day. And to all those who are celebrating, honoring, and taking mothers out, man, may it be a blessed weekend. Thank you guys for joining us this morning. God bless you. And I say this each and every week, if the Lord allow you to wake up tomorrow, make tomorrow your masterpiece. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week. God bless you.
All right.
Hold on, Jahmir, for a second.
Okay.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Lowe's More, the Blueprint Podcast. Stay connected and follow us at our website, www.lowesmore.com. That's LOWESMOORE.com. You can also join the discussion on Twitter at Lowe's More and on Facebook at Lowe's More Jr. As always, thank you for pushing your mindset towards a better reality. This concludes the most thought-provoking portion of your day. Don't forget to like and subscribe to this podcast to stay fully up to date with everything we're up to. Until next time, be kind to yourself and each other.
What they teaching is a joke, I ain't buying it like I'm broke. Insufficient funds for insignificant.